You're less young and more...
But I would come back to the issue of more important, because if you die...
It is more important.
No, you're going to die. And if you die in a democratic, liberal, secular society, and you leave behind a nice house and everything for your children and education and the health system, it's not going to benefit you when you die. I mean, we had a long conversation, but the issue is there a God or isn't there a God? Why don't you believe there's a God?
Because I've grown up in a very Western, very prosperous place where I think I view religion more through its like sociological lens.
Yeah.
Sociological lens, where I see religion as sort of a way for people to understand and make peace with this.
No, I didn't ask about religion. I'm talking about.
Sorry,
I'm talking about. We exist. The universe exists. Do you believe that this universe came from a creator?
Then you are talking about religion.
No, religion is separate. Religion follows on from that. But I'm talking about the foundation. Do you believe that we came into existence by pure random mutation, and this is how we got here? Or do you believe that there should...
Partially, yes. Humans evolved, randomly mutated.
Let me finish. Or do you believe that there should be some kind of organizer, some kind of power, some kind of intent to our existence?
That is whether there needs to be an intent to our existence is a very philosophical question, which I don't really know if we can ever find the answer to. How the universe was specifically created, I don't know. And I don't know if
okay. Do you think based on what you know, I mean you're young, but based on what you know, I would lay down a simple rule. Something doesn't exist and then it comes into existence. Everything we know from human experience, it needs something with knowledge, ability and intent to bring that thing into existence. Like your jumper, your shoes, the camera, everything.
You can give me these examples.
So if that's the default position, what about the universe?
There's so many things about the universe we don't understand, right?
Yeah.
And one way of viewing this is to plant God in all those places we don't understand, but I don't feel the need. This is the thing.
They call it the God of the gaps.
Right, yeah.
But how about science of the gaps?
That's not how science works. Science is not implanted.
We can't answer this, so we say it must be science. We'll find out in the future.
Yes, we'll find out in the future.
So you haven't. But can you show me? Can you demonstrate something that didn't exist?
No.
Because I would say my position that if something exists, something brought it into existence is the default position.
How do you know that?
Because everything I know from my own experience.
How do you know that God, how can God be? How can God?
Let me finish. No, I'm not talking about, because I said I was very clear. Anything which didn't exist and was brought into existence, I believe God always existed. But put that aside.
It also doesn't make any sense according to our normal logic. Okay.
No problem. It's a necessity. But anyway, I'm talking about everything we know. The camera, the watch, the shoes, the jacket. The roads, all of these things. Can you show me any of this which didn't have knowledge, power and intent behind it to come into existence? So that's the default position. So if we take
For everything that I so far understand, that doesn't mean that our universe doesn't need to have a designer. I don't know.
But my point is, if that's the default position, for me to continue that and say, well, if it works here, it must work there, I would say that's a natural step.
It could be a natural step, but it could also be the wrong step.
But for someone to say, no, it is necessary here.
But we don't know if it's necessary.
Let me finish. It's not necessary here, but I don't believe it's necessary there.
I don't know if it's
or I don't know. You have to have a reason for that. Like, why haven't you taken that system? Why haven't you taken that default position from here to here?
I wouldn't extend things that I know about our current universe to things outside of our current universe. And the founding of our universe...
No, I'm talking about the universe itself. I'm talking about me and you.
But the founding of the universe is something that happened outside of our current universe, right? So I wouldn't take rules from our universe and apply it to the founding of our universe that currently exists. But I really don't know about these things. These are things that science may one day come around to and someday may not.
So it's science of the gaps. Like, because you accuse us of putting anything we can't answer, we put God in.
I mean, sure, I'd put science I'd rather put science in the gaps than God, because science...
But what is science?
Because science does not claim that it knows...
But no. But the problem is, science is you you observe something, and from this observation, you lay down a particular pattern or formula, and then you replicate it. So where is the science? Yeah, you test it, etc. So where is the science which says it's possible for some?
Science hasn't gotten around.
Okay, but even to have this idea that it's possible, where did you get this from? Like something which doesn't exist can come into existence in an organized manner, in an organized system.
I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it is, maybe it's not.
So why would you put it for the universe if you can't even prove the idea itself is possible? Like, I can prove the idea, something doesn't exist, someone brought it into existence. I can prove that.
I can't prove many things about the universe. That doesn't mean that I necessarily have to buy into some other idea that I also think cannot necessarily be proved.
Do you have
and I don't think that with you say like, okay, watch came from somewhere, and that's like very like
simple.
Very, very simple logic.
Straightforward.
Right? But I don't think that simple logic, then okay, we can just go one step further and say God didn't need a creator. Well, simple logic all of a sudden doesn't have to apply to that. Like simple logic, because God would also need a creator, but all of a sudden simple logic just goes out of the window. And it's just
no,
like,
because
okay, well,
if God had a creator, he wouldn't be God.
Yeah, well, but then God can't exist because God, something that doesn't have a creator can't exist.
But it's a necessity. It's a necessity.
And that's why God can't exist, because if it's a necessity for God that it has a creator, then
no. I said if God has a creator, he would not be God.
Yeah, and that's why God can't exist, because everything has to have a creator.
No, as I said, I was very careful. I said something which doesn't exist, to come into existence, it has to have someone who made it. But if we're saying by necessity, there has to be a being which has always existed, otherwise nothing would take place, then you can't apply that rule there. Do you see my point?
Like, I think you'd also have to apply that rule to God, because but
then it wouldn't exist.
This argument has been had so many times with so many different people.
No. Because look, the point is, if you have God has been created, firstly, it's not God. But if you have God dependent on the creator, then that one who created it would depend on the creator, which would depend on the creator, which
would wouldn't be God.
Which would no, it wouldn't be God. It wouldn't take place. It wouldn't happen. Because if something is dependent upon something before it, that's why we say there has to be a necessary being which is always there. Otherwise, nothing would happen.
Maybe there needs to be a necessary being there. Maybe there doesn't need to be a necessary being there.
That's why it's called necessary. It's necessary.
Yeah, but maybe it's not necessary. I don't know. But these are the things. This is the thing about the universe. I don't know the answer to all these questions, but I don't feel a need to implant God into this. I think we've gone over this. I think I need to go home.
No problem. Sorry, I didn't ask your name. What was your name? Toiva.
Yeah, what are you?
Yusuf. Nice to meet you.
Yusuf. That's not
Yusuf.
a very British name.
No, it's Hebrew. But it's because when I became Muslim, I liked the story of Joseph, so I chose that name.
How did you become Muslim? This is more interesting to me than
how did I become Muslim?
Very unlikely story, isn't it?
To become Muslim, you have to confess that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah.
What specifically made you Muslim?
When I was 19...
Because the odds are stacked against me as a Finnish atheist. I have a very high chance of ending up in hell, right? So maybe it's part of God's
It's up to you. It's purely up to you.
Or then it's in God's plan. God knows.
No, it's up to you.
Oh, God knows.
وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيَظْلِمَهُمْ وَلَكِنْ أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. Allah did not wrong them, but they wronged their own selves. So you have your choice.
Anyway.
When I was 16, 17, I became interested in life. So being an English person, the first thing I looked at Christianity, then I looked at other religions. I believe there has to be a God, there must be a God, there must be a purpose in life. But I believe religions were made up by people. They have some good in it, but they're made up by people. And then I continued like that, but there must be a God, there must be a hereafter. The belief in God, I believe, is natural in everyone.
Yeah, I think so too. So not everyone, but in it's natural.
Not everyone. It's everyone. But anyway, because in every society, every place, they believe in God. The majority of people.
Not in Finland, but
yeah, because this is a modern idea, a modern society. But in the past, every place, even if they use different. Anyway. But then I met a Muslim. He explained Islam to me because it was so simple and clear. I believed it was true, and then within a few days I accepted it. And as we say, the rest is history. But I think that this economic discussion can go on, and political discussion can go on and on and on. But I think, I understand you're interested in it, you're passionate about it. But this thing of, is there a God or not, is far more important.
people have different interests. Right, thanks.
No problem. Thank you very much for your time. All the best.
Is this some sort of YouTube thing or?
Yes, there's a channel called